Welcome to our live training session here with our Nissan 240SX. We're going to be learning how to calibrate and tune this vehicle using an AEM Infinity standalone system. Let's jump into some details about this vehicle. We're going to find it has an RB25 swap. The RB25 engine is going to be bone stock. We'll find it is fitted with a Grady intake manifold and a Q45 throttle body. Now, moving on to the turbo side of things, we have a custom turbo kit. It's using a twin scroll style custom exhaust manifold and a Precision 5862 twin scroll turbo. It has a 3-inch turbo back exhaust, large front mount intercooler, custom charge pipes. It has a normal blow-off valve, everything you would find on a normal aftermarket turbo kit. Now on the fuel side of things, we have FIC 1000cc injectors. We have a custom fuel rail, lines, an external fuel pressure regulator, and a Walbro 255 liter per hour fuel pump. Very basic in modification. Now, in addition to the AEM Infinity system that's been fitted onto the vehicle, we're going to find that we have an oil pressure sensor, an AEM 3.5 bar map sensor, a GM intake air temp sensor, and we also have a boost solenoid, a 3-port boost solenoid that's been set up and wired in, but we may or may not get to that on this particular vehicle because we have 20 PSI wastegate springs installed in each of the external wastegates. We're going to be tuning and calibrating this on 93 octane. We have a lot to cover here, so let's jump into our live training session so we can get started building our base calibration file. Welcome to our live training session here with our RB25 Swap 240SX. Now we just went over all the details of the vehicle. Let's jump into our Infinity Tuner software so we can begin creating our base calibration file to get our engine fired up and running in this training tutorial series. So moving into our Infinity Tuner software, what I have open here right now, I'm actually connected to the Infinity, so I actually have the car's powered on, it's not running, and my laptop is plugged into the Infinity. What we have in this particular state that I'm in is the car has some kind of a tune file on it. It doesn't run very well. So what we're going to be doing here is starting over from scratch. We're going to be going in and grabbing an RB26DET a specific file, and even though this is an RB25, we're going to be starting off with that and then modifying everything as I'll show you go through the process here, because the 25 and the 26 engines are different, and therefore tuning and calibrating them will be a little bit different. The RB26 specifically, we'd want to go in and calibrate with a throttle position based main VE table or an alpha N style tuning. With the RB25, these have a single throttle body on them. They're not as tricky to tune with the individual throttle bodies as we find on the RB26 engines. So we're going to go here and learn how to go and turn a RB26 file into an RB25 file and go and set up all the background details specific for this vehicle. So the engine will fire up and run once we get to that point in the next video of getting the engine sorted out and making sure we have our timing check, we have our idle control sorted out. So a lot of little details here. Let's go in, let's open up a base session file. So the first thing I want to do is go up to File and go into Import Calibration Data. Import Calibration Data is the equivalent of uploading a new file to a different standalone system. So if you're unfamiliar with Infinity, this is how you go in and actually load a file, which is called a session file, to our Infinity. So we're going to go and upload a new file. Go in here to Import Calibration Data. Now it's going to allow us to search the directory here for the Infinity. What I'm going to do is just walk you through the subdirectories where you can find this. So if we go into Desktop, actually go to Libraries here, and then we're going to go to Documents, and then within Documents I have an AEM folder. This is all auto-installed when you install the AEM Infinity Tuner software. So I'm going to go to AEM, and then down here under Infinity Tuner, and then we're going to move down here under Sessions, and then here Base Sessions is what we want to choose. Now, what's going to be specific to the firmware build that we're running on our Infinity box. We can see up at the top here, we have a 506 box, which is a 96.3 firmware build. We can see that's the status of what I have here. So depending on your firmware, depending on your box, you're going to have to choose some of your subdirectories here within your folder. So we're looking for a 96.3 because that's the firmware build we're on. Let's select this right here. And then we're going to go down our list here and we're going to grab the 506 and 508 options, because we have a 506 box in this case. Let's go and grab this particular folder. Now, I have a lot of subfolders or sub-projects within this. You can see as we look down here, there's a lot of them in here. What I'm going to do is move down beyond all of my personal project folders that I have for Infinity, and we're going to go down towards the bottom. Now, you may only have just these particular files in this folder on your laptop. I'm going to go down here and grab a Nissan RB26DET specific file. Again, we're going to start off with the RB26 file, and we're going to start to modify it based on an RB25 so it runs properly. So let's grab this file here. So if I go and click on it and click open, it's going to import my base session file and overwrite what's in my box right now. This has some sort of, again, map that's in it. This map doesn't run the car very well, so we're just going to import all of these, essentially starting over again. We're going to import all of this data into the file from that RB26 specific file, and then we're going to go and modify and change it from there. So it's essentially resetting the box or initializing the box and putting it back into the stock equivalent state. So what we're going to find is right now it's showing an import status or importing status. It takes a little bit to do that. And we can see here now the file has been, or the session file has been uploaded, and we're starting off with a stock equivalent base session file. So if we're looking in here, look at our VE table, this is going to be the stock file. Looking at our SPAR timing, this is going to be the stock file. There's a lot of things that change. What we're going to do here is break the video up. First portion of the video, we're going to be dealing with all of the background details that we have to take care of, inputs and outputs, as well as anything like our fuel injector data. We need to go and set that up. Then the later portion of this video, we're going to jump into dealing with all of the three-dimensional tables here, dealing with our SPAR timing, dealing with our fuel, dealing with our target lambda tables, building out the three-dimensional tables or the two-dimensional tables that have to be right in order to actually fire off the engine and get the calibration process started. So let's go in here. Let's jump into our first area that we need to be concerned with here. That's going to be under Wizards. And then here under Wizards, we go to Setup Wizard. Under Setup Wizard, this is where we're going to go through all of the details. We're going to start off here at the top and work our way all the way to the bottom, covering all the aspects that we need to go and deal with. One thing I want to go do real quick here, let me close this. Let's jump into the VE fuel tuning. I want to talk about this real quick. The RB26 specific file is going to be based on throttle position for the main VE table. That's going to be an alpha N style fuel strategy. And we have a modifier table, which is a fuel trim number 1 typically, where it'll allow us to compensate for map pressure. We've talked about this in some other live trainings. I believe the BMW M3 was force induction and it was ITBs as well. So we talked about how to deal with that, and that video, that concept should be in your mind, or if you haven't watched that, you can definitely go back and check that out. There's a lot of great information in that video. This particular engine is not individual throttle bodies like an RB26 engine. That's what this file is based from. This is an RB25. We have a single throttle body and we have a singular plenum. So it's going to be much more simplistic to dial things in and tune, and we can actually tune in just a normal non-alpha N or just normal speed density style load input to our table here, and we'll find in that situation that we can just use map pressure as our scale and not throttle position. So that's going to be one big thing I wanted to point out. The difference is if you're starting off tuning an RB26 or an RB25. RB26, we'd want to go and keep it throttle position based, and then using our fuel trim number 1 to be able to use that as a map multiplier. In fact, if we just take a step back here and jump into fuel trims, looks like the fuel trim number 1 table here actually wasn't populated, but this table would be how we would go in and tune. So 0 PSI and above. This would be where we would tune for boost, and then we would use our VE fuel table here, 0 to 100 scale. That's our throttle position scale, 100%.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.